Yo, Raider Nation, it's your boy, Willet The Feral. We're going to take a little morning commute this morning. So I got to address some concerns that I've seen the Raider Nation be talking about. And one, I'm going to say I agree. I've seen a lot of people lately saying we should have gotten a proven defensive coordinator. The common example I've seen is Jim Shorts, which I 100% agree. I said this in my early videos this offseason about that. Yes, I understand that Rob Leonard is a respected defensive. Sorry, checking traffic. He is a respected coach. He likely, he's deemed an up-and-coming, star coach, basically. But we've done this song and dance before where, we're going to try to get ahead of the curve, play chess when everybody's playing checkers kind of thing, and then it doesn't work out. And I feel like I was kind of worried about the idea of having a guy that's never been defensive coordinator as our defensive coach in the middle of this rebuild. Because what happens if, I'm not worried about our offense at all. If you guys have seen my earlier videos, I've talked about it. Kubiak, yeah, the offense is going to be fine. They're going to at least be serviceable, which is all I can ask for right now in the middle of this rebuild, is serviceable. Our defense, unless he's been... I'm trying to take it with a grain of salt because I know they're probably using a really vanilla defense, but when you're doing basically a game, a scrimmage with the Texans, and they are shredding our defense, like they're running at will. From what I've heard from a lot of the insiders that were there are saying that basically they moved at will. Like, they threw the ball basically when they wanted. They were running the ball. They said it was literally the best, their run game has looked in their practices since the offseason began against our run defense. That's scary. And then with such a young secondary too, if teams are going to have a strong run game against us, then our defensive line, which is our strength, isn't going to have any way to affect the game. Because they're going to be so focused on stopping the run that they're not going to be able to pin their ears back and get the quarterback. It just messes up everything. Because if they're so worried about the run, play action comes in, bam. Now the secondary is left on an island with little to no pressure because they're focused on the run game. And then we already saw how that went against Arizona. They got picked apart because there was no pressure. None. So I like Rob Leonard. I do. Do I think he has the opportunity to mold into a defensive coordinator? Sure. He's got the attitude and the I believe he's got the right attitude, and he's got the experience and knowledge, I believe, to do it. But I just don't know if this was the time. Especially with the pieces we have, being able to keep Crosby, bringing in a Kwity Paye, bringing in a Kobe Dean, Quay Walker, bringing back Eric Stokes, getting Traden Stukes, getting Jermod McCoy. I don't know if he's the right... I don't know if he's the right guy to... And I hope I'm wrong, because he did bring in... I do like that he brought in Joe Woods. That is a good secondary coach to train up these young guys. But I'm afraid he's going to get out-coached by other offensive coordinators. I think that's really what it comes down to, is he doesn't have that experience. And that's what I'm scared of. At least for this season. Who knows? It could change once he's got some experience in, but I'm afraid that the plays and the style that he's going to set up, I think he's going to get outcoached. And that seemed pretty clear against Arizona. But I'm hoping, let's say I'm the delusional Raider fan, I'm hoping that was just because it was such a vanilla defense and they were doing a lot of basically just man-to-man, that it looks a lot different come the season. So we'll see. But that was one of the that's the pressing topic on my mind, is I'm really worried about this defense, and I'm not worried about the line and the linebackers. I'm just worried about our secondary getting picked apart. They're all very young. Besides, I'm not gonna make it. Just missed my exit.
Want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, W Energy. Be better. Be better than Willet getting lost on the way to work. Now let's see if he made it.
So the next topic I want to talk about is I was a little worried about our offense actually in this because it sounds like also our offensive line was struggling. I know that's basically the number one defensive line in the league, supposedly. But it sounds like there was also no run game and no, kind of poor protection. Both Fernando and Kirk Cousins threw pick sixes. Sounds like due to pressure. So that's a little worrisome too. I know we're not going to be playing that caliber defensive line all the time. But that worried me a little bit. Because this is also, a very young offense. And I'm afraid that is more due to the state of our wide receiver room. There's not that true proven just like top dog of a wide receiver. Like, yes, there's Bowers, but teams are going to double and they're going to bracket him all day. The wide receivers are going to have to make plays. They're going to have to attack the ball. They got to help the quarterback. And I don't think they're capable of doing that necessarily. And the other thing that worries me is we brought in Naylor, but haven't heard his name really. And that scares me because, they're paying him pretty good money. And yet, you don't hear about... I haven't really heard much of what he's contributing. I don't hear anything about him making any, big-time catches, just Randy Mossing somebody, And, he's one of the highest paid, he's a pretty high paid receiver on our team. So that scares me. Because it's I feel like honestly, I feel like the receiver that's shown the most right now is a rookie wide receiver right now in Malik Benson. I mean, yeah, I know Naylor hasn't. Did he even? I assume he got a little bit of snaps in the preseason, but I didn't hear his name called one time either. So I don't know if he's just not getting open. Why is he not? Is he not? They just don't have a good rapport with him? I don't know what it is. And I said at the beginning in other videos too that, you know, earlier in the offseason I was really worried about our wide receiver room. It needed to be addressed better, I felt like. Because they're just all so young. That's like, it could help in the long run, yeah. I hope it does. But it's gonna really hurt us right now. You know, the way this is going right now with the wide receivers and then how the offensive line just did against a talented defensive line, I'm not putting Fernando in. The next offseason, you make sure the line is solid. You get him some wide receivers, some actual, you know, get him a true, like, solid wide receiver that he can rely on. Heck, hopefully 2 of them. Like, yeah, I think he can rely on Trey Tucker, but Trey Tucker's not going to go up there and, like, Randy Moss someone for the ball when he needs bailed out. You need that true big beast. We need, like, a Megatron type, you know? And we don't have that. So, he does not have the supporting cast where I find it worth putting him out there. I really don't. Let Kirk Cousins deal with it. He's, you know, he's been here before. I'm not putting out Fernando this year. Maybe in the last couple of games, if there's, you know, nothing to play for, sure. You know, get him those live reps. But other than that, this wide receiver room, I think, is pretty shaky. And I don't think it would do any good for Fernando. But we'll see. I put these takes out there hoping that I'm wrong. But now on a not judgmental note, I love what I'm seeing out of Mike Washington Jr. He had another huge run against the Texans, which reminds you again that I mentioned a couple times, they're considered one of the top defensive lines. And apparently he guessed them for a big run. He had a huge run against Arizona, over 50 yards. And they said Genty struggled against the Texans, but then he popped off another big run. It's definitely turning into more of a a running back 1A and 1B, which I love. He has the opportunity, I think, of turning out to probably be one of our best rookies, the way this is going. Because he's got the juice. He's bringing it. And I love it. They need, especially if Genty struggles, he needs to get a fair share of carries too. I would almost have it the way I'm seeing it right now, especially if Genty's going to struggle. It needs to be 50-50 almost at this point. If that's how he's going to play. If he's going to be busting off these 50-yard runs every game, you need to get him you need to get him a decent amount of snaps. Because he's proven something. I'm excited to see what he does this season. I really am. I really want to see Jermod McCoy too pan out. But they were picking on him in the Cardinals. But I mean, this is a guy that hasn't played in close to 2 years, so he's got a lot of rust to shake off. And that's actually, I don't want to stay harping on the negative, but, well, the positive I saw that I can actually give them a break on, and maybe let me take a little bit of heat off the coaching. The players were in the right place. they just got to play on the ball. But that's kind of been the common story of the Raiders, if you think about it, too. Is Lincoln Kennedy says this all the time. If you watch their podcast with Q Myers, the Squad Show. Is it Silver and Black Squad Show? Something like that. Too early to recall that, but for me. But he talks about all the time. Coaches coach, players play. I will say from what I saw, and Joe Woods is a good secondary coach, they were in the right positions that I saw. Like, they were on their wide receiver. They were sticky. But then when it came time to make a play on the ball, they weren't doing it. I've seen a lot of heads not being turned to locate the ball. You know, they weren't trying to play on the ball, it looked like. Now, granted, I know they're young and they'll learn, but that was the thing I saw that was glaring that needed to be focused on. Is, okay, great, you're in position, you stuck with your guy, you're on him, but now you need to find the ball, because they're finding the ball because you're not looking. And who was it? There was someone's there's another Raiders channel I was watching. Was it Raider Honcho? Oh my god. I watched so many. I watched Samoan Raider. I watched Raider Honcho, Raiders Report at Chat Sports. I want to say it was Raider Honcho. Who else am I forgetting? Raider Honcho, Raiders Report. The OLV Raider Network. Graphic Raider. There you go. I can't recall if it was Graphic Raider or Raider Honcho. I want to say it was Raider Honcho. He said the same thing. Basically, is you have to play the ball. And that you know, in his opinion, which I agree with, cornerback has to be one of the hardest positions to play in football. Like, from like a physical and mental standpoint, because, you know, when you as a quarterback come into the league, you're pretty protected. You can barely be touched. You're the one that knows where the play's going. You know, you know the answers, basically, right? It's just your job to get the ball to the playmakers and you know, call your protections and stuff. But you know kind of what to expect for the most part. You know the play. You know where you're going with the football for the most part. Like, yeah, you do have to play to what the defense gives you, but you pretty much have an idea of what you're trying to accomplish. When you're a defense, you don't know where they're running, if the ball's if it's even meant to come your way. Is this guy a decoy? You know. And then a lot of time, you're on an island. It's you, one-to-one man coverage. There's, you know, you don't have help like that, usually. Depending on, you know, the scheme you're playing. A lot of the time, it's all on you. And as we saw with Jamon McCoy, that if you can't make the stop, they're going to keep coming back at you over and over and over. And I felt bad because it does suck. It sucks when you have that glaring, like, basically when you have that glaring weakness where they know, like, okay, we can basically throw it up towards him and our guy's going to, you know, get the ball. And you just get, you know, gashed over and over and over. It's demoralizing. But, you know, hopefully that's fuel for him, just, you know, with the coaches to learn from it and be like, okay, you know, you were in position Like, your positioning was well. You need to find and make a play on the ball. Slap the ball away, pick it off, something. Because, yeah, that's great if you're, right on the red receiver and such. That's all great and all. Yeah, you're covering him well. But this is the NFL. And there's going to always be a contested pass. They're expecting to not be wide open, to have to make that contested catch. And as we saw, they saw pretty quickly that the contested catches was pretty much automatic. Throwing his way. So they kept throwing his way. And it's going to keep happening. Because now it's on tape. So now every offense is going to be like, we're going at Jermod. If he's out there, we know he's not making he's not making plays on these contested balls. We're going to throw it up. So he's got to, unfortunately, that's the way of the land. He's going to have to shut it down. So we'll see. Our defense does worry me, and I'm hoping with more of an actual scheme in place that it does improve. Maybe it's not so man-to-man, so then they have some safety help or something. Then they got to really work on playing the ball, or else there's going to be just a lot of plays like we've been seeing where it's just, oh yeah, they're right in the receiver's hip, but the receiver's still catching the ball because they're not locating the ball and trying to, they're not contesting the throw or the catch. So I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, but we got a game tonight against the Texans. They're benching their starter defense. Most of their starters on defense now. A lot of people are thinking it's because of the injury to their wide receiver. Oh my God, I can't think of his name right now, but he's out for the season with a torn ACL. But my whole thing is, if you're worried about injuries, you would bench all starters. They're saying just the defense. And if apparently the defense is pretty dominant against us, so they're probably thinking, hey, we've seen enough, and we already lost our wide receiver. We ain't putting them out there. If there's no point in playing them if they're already in pretty good shape, which sounds like they are. So we'll see how that pans out. Which that's gonna kind of stink for our offense in a way, because if we have our starting offense against our second string defense, I expect them to. They're gonna they should have no issue moving the ball. But what stinks is it's kind of not the best of reps for the starting offense in a way, because the talent level is going to be a little different that they're playing against. So that kind of. But I don't think we'll see much of our. Well, I don't know, because usually they don't play at all in the third game. Because usually that's I'm trying to figure out who's going to be on the bottom of the roster, and they get the most looks. So, it would be a good time for them to gel together, I guess, but it's not going to be as high a caliber of a defense that they would be playing against if the starters were out there. So, at least it'll kind of let them work out some kinks, if there is any in the offense that can only be, fixed in live game. But sounds like the offense for the Texans are going to be out there, so that'll be good for our defense. The defense needs to show something. But anywho, this was the Willet The Feral morning commute. I am actually near my job right now. I want to thank you for joining me on this ride and hearing me ramble on like a madman. But, you know, when it's 5:45 in the morning where I'm located, and as you can see, it's still dark outside, that's what you're going to get. So, but let me know what you think in the comments. If you agree with my takes, if you think I'm full of baloney, or you're just like, hey, screw it, I'm just ready for some Raider football, like me. I don't, no, I don't think I'm too close to the curb. Sorry, parking. We have weird curb laws, so I think I'm good. But anywho, well, thank you all for joining me on my little morning commute here and talking some Raiders. Hopefully, I hope my takes are wrong, and they prove me wrong. And hell, if a Raider player somehow watches this, tell me I'm wrong and show me I'm wrong. I'm more than willing to eat crow. But anyway, thank you again for tuning in. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, do all that good stuff for me. I'd appreciate it so much. And go Raiders. I'll be watching tonight. We're going to be talking about it in the Discord. So if you're not part of the Discord, the link is in my bio. I actually don't recall if Discord has a search feature, but if it does, it's under Willet The Feral. Or, oh my god, no. Wow, I'm going blank. Anyway, just check out the link in the bio, and I'll put a link in the description of this video as well. That'll be the easiest way to find it. Hopefully we can even build up to somehow maybe doing actual watch parties, which would be awesome, but that's something I gotta figure out once we have a little bit more people in the Discord and be having a good time. But alright, I'm gonna quit rambling. You enjoy your morning. If it is morning, if it's night, hey, good night. Get some extra sleep for me. I got about 4 hours, and we're about to do an 8-hour shift. It's my Friday, luckily, so what a way to go into the weekend with some football tonight. We'd be making some Sloppy Joe dinner. Kick back, watch the game. So, you know, hope you all are having a great day. Stay tuned for more. And stay feral, baby.